It's a clear spring morning, and David Hunt is preparing for his annual cross-country snowmobile trip with his 11-year-old daughter, Leia.
Cool, eh?
It was just something that we promised that we would do every year, something together.
Oh, you look at that.
We always had fun together, you know, no matter what, there was never a dull moment.
Mum Barbara and little brother William will be staying at home. This trip is for fathers and daughters only.
Leia and her father had a special bond, I think from the moment she was born. They spent a lot of time together when Leia was younger, whether it was cycling, skidooing, all kinds of things. Her brother, I think, was very jealous about the fact that he wasn't going to go. But I think that Leia really needed to have that one-on-one time with her father.
Keep you nice and warm, don't you?
I love my daughter. She just had an interest to being around her dad, and she'd always want to come and hug me, and Daddy was like everything.
Bye now.
With David working hard through the year, Leia knows it's her one chance to get Dad all to herself.
My father is a workaholic, so when we went on these trips, I knew for sure all his attention would be directed to me, so I was very excited for those trips together.
It's Leia's big day. But with the temperature plunging to minus 22 degrees, David is wondering whether to postpone the trip.
Okay.
That morning, I was a little concerned for the weather because it was very cold outside.
It was one of those mornings where you can like barely stand being outside for 1 second, let alone going on a trip.
So I told Leia, what do you want to do?
I was just so excited to go that I decided to go anyway.
Okay.
I really like snowmobiling, just the fact of having nothing on your mind. You're totally away from everybody, you're away from work. You can just enjoy the scenery and everything around you.
It's so cold outside, but yet you don't feel cold at all because you're having such a blast.
David isn't worried about the drop in temperature.
I had no concerns on us being very, very cold. The only thing that could go wrong is that if we broke down, but then I figured we'd be able to walk. I had bought brand new suits for me and Leia, so I figured you got the best of equipment, the best for warmth, you got it all, you know, so you might get cold a bit. You're not gonna freeze, you know what I mean? And to get cold a bit, well, that's we don't mind, you know what I mean? It's wintertime, we live in Quebec, you know, you're supposed to get rosy cheeks, you're supposed to get a bit cold.
Leia is already dreaming about her favorite part of their trips, diving into a heated hotel swimming pool.
That was my passion. I loved being in pools. And so the idea of having a heated pool was always very exciting for me.
Leia and David arrive at Saint-Jérôme before nightfall.
Hi there. You have vacancies?
Yes, we do.
Excellent.
And do you have a pool?
Unfortunately, we don't have a pool.
When we entered the hotel, we noticed that they didn't have a pool. And I looked forward to going into their heated pool so much that I convinced my father to go on for another hour until we reached the next hotel where they had a pool.
Like any doting father,
Thank you.
David can't say no to his daughter.
So I looked at the map and I said, well, we're about an hour and a half away. So I figured, okay, Leia, no problem at all, then let's continue. We got about another hour and a half to go.
David knows that snowmobiling at night brings a new set of dangers. With the light fading and the trail fast vanishing, David considers his options.
I looked at the map. I saw that if we had to turn around where we were to go to another trail, this would take us 2 hours out of our way and that we would never be able to make it to that motel before 8, 9 o'clock at night.
David faces a major dilemma. Lose time turning back for better trails, or carry on through heavy, ungroomed snow.
So I figured, well, if the trail's no good, we'll just go slow. At least it's going to save us time.
David presses on, hoping the trail will improve. But up ahead, a hidden trap awaits them. Metal guardrails, buried by the drifts, lurk just beneath the snow.
All of a sudden, my ski was stuck.
The metal skis are caught on the rails.
I was just trying to turn the skidoo, and it wouldn't turn.
It's steering them towards the edge of a ravine.
My first reaction was to turn around and take Leia and throw her off. And then I realized... Oh my God. That's when I realized that this is gonna really hurt.
When I looked down at him and I saw him in the bottom of the ravine, I guess in that moment I just kind of froze over.
David's snowmobile has crashed into a freezing cold stream, crushing his leg and pinning it beneath the water.
I was very panicky. I was very scared.
Dad! Just get out, please! What's wrong?
Using brute force and every last drop of adrenaline, David has to drag his legs free from underneath the machine. But when he tries to stand...
When he got up, I figured everything was fine, like we were going to walk out of it, until he fell.
I realized that there was something very severely wrong with my knee.
When David crash-landed in the bottom of the ravine, it wasn't just the ice that shattered. Pinned underneath 270 kilos of falling metal, David's knee took the full force of the impact and is now smashed into 15 fragments of broken bone. The slightest movement causes these jagged shards to grind against the surrounding tissue.
It felt like somebody had taken a hammer and smashing your knee right against the concrete.
Leia!
Throbbing pain I've never experienced before in all my life.
Dad! Dad, please! Just get up!
David needs to get out of the ravine and back to a hospital fast. But with a shattered knee, he can't move.
I couldn't just get up, man, and get out of there.
Dad! What's wrong?
David is now relying on his 11-year-old daughter to get him out.
Dad, I'm coming down.
But with the wind and snow suddenly picking up, it won't be easy.
My father has always been there for me.
Take care.
Now it's my turn to show that I can help him.
Leia's made it, but there's no time to rest. Their best chance of rescue is being spotted by another snowmobile. Unless they can get back up to the trail, nobody will see them.
We were so far down that if a snowmobile drove by, they wouldn't see us, so we had to get up there.
Okay, slow. No, slow.
I tried to pull him, but he's a man. I'm an 11-year-old child, so it was kind of impossible to do.
Okay, again, one more time.
I'm like paralyzed now in a way, you know what I mean? The minute you make any movement, it's... a throbbing pain.
Realizing her arms aren't strong enough to pull her father up, Leia braces her body and uses her legs instead.
So I'd grab her leg and I would pull myself up about a foot at a time. Then Leia would back up, brace her hands very well in the snow on each side again, and I'd grab onto that leg that she would put down, and I would pull myself up another foot.
I tried to pull him, and every time he would slip and fall back down.
Every jolt sent shockwaves of pain through David's smashed knee.
I wanted to quit a lot of times, you know? I figured I ain't gonna make it to the top. You know, I can't get up there.
Come on, Dad.
Okay.
But Leia didn't want to give up.
I was so determined at that moment. It was like another me that kicked in.
Girl, come on. You're great, Leia. Oh.
Leia, all 45 kilos of her, manages to help pull her badly wounded father back up to the top of the trail.
Getting out of the ravines was one of the hardest things that I ever had to do. It was with the determination of Leia and the will of Leia that I got out of there.
Oh, good girl. Good girl.
David and Leia are all alone. The temperature is dropping. They're 11 kilometers from the next town. And with nighttime fast approaching, it's unlikely any other snowmobiles will pass by.
Well done.
Still wet from his fall in the river, David is freezing. But right now, he's more concerned about his daughter.
Where's your glove?
That's when I could see Leia. Leia had lost one of her gloves.
Put that on. That on.
I had one left, the other one I threw off when I was in the water, and I gave that glove to Leia and I told her to put that on her hand.
In these conditions, any exposed skin is vulnerable. And by giving Leia his glove, David is risking losing his hand to frostbite. Despite the condition of the trail and the worsening weather, David tries to convince himself that someone will come and save them. With 8 hours till dawn, and the temperature still dropping, David makes a decision.
You're gonna have to go and get help, okay?
When my father told me to leave to go find help, I was incredibly shocked. I didn't know what to do at that moment.
Linda, you're right here. Okay?
She didn't want to leave me there, you know? She wanted to stay with me.
That girl.
I said, you have to, Leia. I said, you can't stay here with me. You stay here with me, you could pass away. I could pass away. We'd freeze here tonight.
Off you go now.
I was scared that he would be left by himself. But I knew that I wanted to rescue my father.
Leia sets out alone, determined to find help and save her father.
So she got up and she started walking. I literally felt helpless. And then that was the last that I saw of Leia. Leia left.
As soon as I left him, the fear kicked in. I realized that I was all by myself now. I was outside in the dark, in the woods by myself. I was very, very nervous, very scary.
Limping, after her earlier fall through the ice, Leia heads deeper into the forest.
My father told me to not get off of the path.
After burning their map to light a fire, she has no way of knowing if she's going in the right direction.
I noticed a sign that said, "Beware of animals." I was very, very scared when I saw that sign. As soon as you go into an area where it's all bushed, you can't see anything. All I could hear was these wolves howling, branches breaking, and, you know, things moving. All these things really, really were frightening me. All I kept telling myself is, I'm almost there. There's light. There has to be someone.
But when she finally reaches the far side of the lake, there's a shock in store.
As I got closer, I noticed that the only way that I would be able to get to that light was if I climbed a steep, straight hill that was impossible to reach. At that moment, I started to yell and yell and yell and just scream out,
Help! Please, can you hear me? Please help!
If anyone is there, they cannot hear her, and she cannot climb up the steep bank to get closer.
Help! Please help me!
I was very, very depressed at that moment.
11-year-old Leia has walked through the dark forest and across a frozen lake that could have taken her life, all to save her father. But it's been in vain. At the crash site, David's core body temperature is plummeting, and he's just hours from death.
Finally, I heard a voice, so I started to yell back.
Leia! Leia!
It was my father's voice.
Leia heads in the direction his shouts are coming from.
Daddy!
It's been 3 hours since David last saw his daughter, and hearing her voice breathes new life into him.
When I heard Leia calling out my name, it was like a sigh of relief that I knew that she was still alive.
Daddy!
I'm here! Over here! It's okay. It's okay.
Despite all her efforts, Leia and David are back to square one.
I was happy to hear her, and I was happy to see her again. But on the other hand, I was very unhappy that she didn't make it and that she wasn't already a nice warm place and everything else, that she would have to stay here now with me in the freezing cold weather.
It's okay. We're gonna be okay.
Leia can see that her father's condition has worsened.
He didn't look well, he really didn't. He was trying to hide it. It was very much worrying me a lot.
Body sweat, caused by the pain of his knee injury, is freezing against David's skin. And with the wind chill dropping the temperature to minus 27 Celsius, his heart rate is slowly falling. Back at home, David's wife Barbara is worried. She's been expecting a call from them since lunchtime.
Come 9 o'clock that night and they still hadn't called, I had this really bad feeling in my stomach that something was not right. So I telephoned the police, and the police said there wasn't anything they could do until they'd been missing for 24 hours.
Okay, thank you.
I was just totally devastated.
At the crash site, David has given up any hope of rescue.
I didn't think there was another skidoo coming. it. It was too cold of a night, for one. Very, very blowy. The trails were so bad. Who's going to want to go out in that? We wanted that wind to stop. It was just getting worse and worse. Darker and darker. Colder and colder. And I could see up in the trees, and it was blowing all the snow off of the trees and blowing it all onto us and blowing it everywhere. And it was just the noise. It was a noise that I wanted to stop.
Although badly injured himself, David is more worried about his daughter.
She was cold, and I was cuddling her up. She was shivering and shivering and wouldn't stop. I was trying to get her the warm as I could.
But one part of Leia's body, which was freezing cold, is now beginning to feel warm. Her feet.
My feet weren't cold whatsoever at that moment. They were kind of actually numbed.
It's gonna be okay.
Her feet are also swelling. Combined with the lack of sensation, it's a sure indicator that Leia is developing acute frostbite. The cold has frozen the fluid in her skin cells, creating ice crystals. These cells have ruptured, causing her feet to swell. Now, the blood supply is not reaching the damaged skin, and the nerves in her toes are slowly dying.
I was very, very relieved that the sun was coming up.
Against all the odds, David and Leia have survived one of the coldest nights of the year in one of the most inhospitable environments on Earth.
We did it, and we survived, and I just thank God for watching over us, you know.
But when Leia goes to get up, there's a shock for both of them.
My feet.
Holy jeez. She had ice all around her boots.
Can you feel your feet?
Balls of ice have formed around her feet, which now prevent her going anywhere.
Move your feet. You can't feel them?
No.
Okay.
David grabs a metal signpost out of the snow to chop away the ice.
I was holding the wood part of it, and I was chopping with the aluminum part of the sign.
As David breaks up the ice, curiously, Leia feels nothing.
My feet were so numb, I didn't feel anything whatsoever. All I could feel was him hacking at it.
The fact that Leia cannot feel her feet is a very bad sign. Despite the damage, she can stand. Now David wants her to leave him and save herself before they freeze to death.
Gotta go back to the trail from last night, okay? It's the only way. It's gonna be okay.
Either she leaves now on foot to go to get help, or we die here.
I love you, Daddy.
I said to Leia, when you're walking, just believe in your heart, Dad is with you. So you walk and you leave and you get to the town, I'll be good.
Dragging her numbed feet through the snow, Leia heads out once more to find help.
I was in pain at that point. I was not comfortable at all.
Back at the crash site, David knows that even if Leia finds help, it might not arrive in time to save him. He has to try and walk, or die here in the forest.
After Leia left, I figured that I'm gonna go that way too. I'll try and follow her.
Come on!
Although his knee is shattered, David summons the courage to stand up.
I grabbed that post and I made it up. I just fell down and was unconscious.
An hour into her walk, Leia spots a derelict building in the snow up ahead.
As I went up the hill, I noticed a little lodge. So I walked up to it and I noticed that it was a little cabin or something, maybe for fishing or hunting. I was so disappointed because I wish I would have seen it the night before and I would have been able to drag my father towards it or something so that we could have gone in it, you know? So I was very disappointed at that moment.
As Leia pushes on, she starts to worry that she'll never find help.
I felt like I was not getting anywhere. When you're in the woods like that, often it all looks a bit the same.
Leia doesn't know it, but now every second counts in the race to find help. Her next decision, to go left or right, could seal her father's fate.
As I was walking, I reached the point where I had turned off the night before to go into the lake. I remember my father told me it's very important to always stick to your right, he told me. No matter which way the trail gives you an option, always go right.
Leia goes right, hoping that the path will take her towards the town and the chance to save her father. David's body is shutting down. Hours later, a family on a snowmobile trip spot David's body in the snow. David has clung to life.
My daughter!
Now his only thoughts are for Leia.
My daughter!
He said that Leia had been found and that she was going to be taken to Saint Jerome Hospital. It was a sigh of relief that we succeeded. We made it. You know, we're not going to die here. It's not our time.
Honey.
Incredibly, Leia and David are rescued just a few hours apart. Leia walking into a nearby town on her badly damaged feet.
I was so happy. I was crying. I was so happy. It was like I started breathing again.
Leia and David survived their ordeal, but sustained lifelong injuries. David underwent reconstructive surgery on his shattered knee. But Leia's injuries were more severe. Partial amputations of both her feet were necessary after suffering acute frostbite.
I really do feel lucky to be alive. The doctors thought that I would have been amputated close to my knees, and I managed to be able to keep both of my heels, so I'm incredibly lucky for that. And I thank God every day for it.
For her incredible actions in saving her father's life, Leia was given the Star of Courage, one of Canada's highest awards for bravery.
Just 11 years old and being told to go for help and not hesitating for one moment. She's the bravest person I know.
I would have never got out of there without Leia. Never, ever. It was Leia that saved my life. She's my hero, you know? She's everything to me, that girl.
Journeying into the heart of the Transylvanian Alps, a remote region of central Romania, is Ken Jones, a former British paratrooper in search of a holiday with a difference.
I think I'm quite a nomadic person. I tend to spend quite a lot of time on my own.
In the summer, this wild landscape would be teeming with hikers. But in mid-January, the snow and sub-freezing temperatures mean few people are brave enough to venture alone into these unforgiving mountains.
I became aware of just more or less having the whole mountain range to myself. It was a nice feeling, but it was kind of scary as well. You become aware of your own smallness.
Normally, it's a 2-day climb to the top of the mountain. But super-fit ex-army man Ken has challenged himself to conquer it in a single day.
Me and my brothers were always really competitive. We'd always race each other to the bus stop each morning. On the way to school, everything was a race. I do like the feeling of my body working and functioning well, and I soon found a good rhythm. I'm a fanatical lover of freedom. And sometimes you just got to put yourself out on your own, just to enjoy a different kind of peace.
Ken's made light work of the lower slopes. But hazardous terrain ahead threatens his ambitious bid for the summit.
There was a ramp. It was a really steep wall, so I needed to rely heavily on my crampons and my ice axe. And that was pretty tricky. At one point, I got halfway up, and I just slipped.
The fall serves as a warning. The mountain is treacherous, but Ken is determined to keep going. Ken retraces his steps and soon passes the point of his slip. With effort comes reward. His choice of extreme location is starting to pay off.
All of a sudden, there was just a noise from the top of a mountain. At first, I thought it was something like an animal. It was so strange and unearthly. I'd never heard anything like it before. And then I realized that this is an avalanche. I was transfixed. I'd never seen an avalanche before. In a way, it was perverse. I just wanted to look at it. I should have turned and run, but it's just something so big and magnificent.
But Ken has no time to lose. Each passing second brings him closer to death.
I turned my back on it and run as fast into the forest as I could possibly make it. And all the time I could feel like it was chasing me. My heart was beating, it was just going crazy. It was going to hit me, bury me. I thought I was going to die.
Ken dives to safety in the nick of time, and the avalanche is funneled down the firebreak.
It would have definitely killed me without a doubt. I was pretty shaken for a while. And then when I realized I was safe and I calmed down, then I just started to laugh.
He's had a narrow escape, but he's still in danger. The snow on these upper slopes is unstable.
After the avalanche, I began to feel really vulnerable on the slope. I need to find somewhere safe to sleep. So I wanted to drop down, get deeper into the forest, sleep for the night, and still possibly be able to make an ascent the next day.
It's now a race to descend to safer ground before nightfall. But through the trees, the going quickly gets tough.
But the terrain became more treacherous. Branches were poking in my eye. It was becoming a bit of a nightmare.
The rough terrain and the slope of the mountain forces him back onto open ground. The mountain is about to show him how lethal it can be. This time it's on him in an instant. It's run or die.
I ran as fast and as frantically as I could. I was running for my life. And then the next thing I knew, it pulled me off my feet. I was utterly terrified. It swallows you and engulfs you. You can feel all your bones and organs inside, everything's rattling. All of a sudden, I was falling. And then I was thinking, this is really bad. I landed on my ass and I heard a massive crack. And that was my pelvis shattering and the head of my femur snapping off. I must have lost consciousness. I lay there, not knowing what was happening or where I was. I couldn't really feel anything. It was dark.
The fall has inflicted a bloody gash to his head. But Ken is about to discover that his body has suffered a far more deadly blow.
The pain finally hit me. It was absolute agony. It was like a red-hot poke was just being pushed into the side of my leg.
The impact has broken his femur and smashed his hip joint through his pelvis, shattering it to pieces. Bone fragments have severed blood vessels around the pelvis, causing internal bleeding and making his core body temperature plummet. In this extreme environment, his injuries could prove fatal. Ken knows it's bad, but is unaware of the full extent of the damage.
I sat up and started assessing my situation. As I put my hand to the side of my leg, my left hand felt wet and sticky, and I got a big open wound on a couple of inches on the side of my left hip. It was bleeding quite heavily.
He needs to act quickly to prevent further loss of blood, which could harm his chances of survival.
I managed to force myself to roll on my side. Pulled a first field dressing from my pocket. And that seemed to stem a flow of blood. And after I dressed it, I pulled my trousers back up and I decided not to look at it again. My natural instinct was to get up and walk. My leg was in pain, but I wasn't sure if it was broken. I felt a jolt of agonizing pain shoot up my leg, and it became apparent that there was no way in hell I could walk. My leg was gone. It was a pretty desperate situation.
He's in urgent need of medical attention, but he's 8 miles from the nearest village and has no mobile or satellite phone. With military discipline, he's packed for the harsh conditions, But the avalanche has torn off his backpack and buried it further up the mountain.
I was deprived of all my provisions, my sleeping bag, my stove, my meals, everything I needed to survive.
Nobody knows where Ken is or the danger he's in. If he's to cheat death, the stamina and self-reliance that brought him here must now get him out. But he faces a tough dilemma. Go up in the vain hope of finding his life-saving kit, or conserve precious time and energy and descend in search of help.
It was a real tough decision to know what to do. The implications of making the wrong decision were deadly.
He then spots his torch, which has fallen from his backpack and miraculously turned itself on.
This torch was now my best means of survival. If I could get the torch, and I'd possibly have a chance, even if it's a small one, of finding my other items of kit. I'd have a bit more food, I'd have a sleeping bag. It was a small distance, but it was so painful and so difficult to cover the ground.
Ken finds his hat and a waterproof sack before eventually salvaging his torch. But hopes of recovering his backpack and sleeping bag are futile. His route is blocked by a vertical ledge.
Under normal conditions, I could have negotiated it effortlessly. But like this, it was impossible. When daylight did arrive, it was overwhelming. It was such a relief. And the darkness can bring all this paranoia, and with the daylight I realized I could do something.
In the early hours of a cold mid-January morning, the chances of anyone being in this inhospitable wilderness are remote. Ken only has himself to rely on, but the enormity of the task ahead preys on his mind, and he can't help hoping for rescue.
I kind of had it in my mind. Maybe emergency services would be called out. I imagined a helicopter or a couple of mountain rescue guys just walking through the forest blowing a whistle. I imagined all these little scenarios, but the more I thought about them, I just dismissed them. I was pinning so much hopes on so many slight what-ifs.
After a brutal crawl along the valley floor, Ken finally reaches the river.
The banks were higher than the water level, so it was kind of hard for me to reach down and get access to the water. So I had the idea of tying the ends of my shoelaces around the neck of a bottle. The relief on my mouth was blissful. It was like petrol going into a car. I just felt my body reviving, being full of energy again. Transylvania is full of bears and wolves, and as the day was drawing to a close, I began to panic. I was so out in the open, still far away from the trees. I was scared, and I'd try and crawl as fast as I possibly could.
He makes it to cover, but the scent of his blood-soaked body and his weakened state makes him easy prey.
I was really hungry, cold, dehydrated. I think it affected me. I wasn't sure if I was hallucinating or hearing things. I really believed I was hearing packs of wolves surrounding me. I was convinced I could see eyes just looking at me. I'd just sit there panting, like, breathing heavily, really scared, just waiting for them to attack me. I just thought, this is going to be horrible. Just being eaten's horrible, but to be eaten alive is just something else. I woke up the next morning and I just thought, oh, you're not dying. You're still here. And it's like my body wanted to stay alive. I'd come to a standstill the night before and heavy snowfall had landed on me and totally cocooned my body, and I think it must have kept me alive and kept me warm. And I decided to start crawling again.
His shattered hip means every move is pure torture. Only his incredible fitness and superhuman reserves of willpower drive him on. In spite of the pain, he's confident the worst is over.
It'd be stupid to even conceive of it getting more difficult. I've just got to get to the track. It's not going to be far away. One big final effort today, and you know, I'll be safe. Throughout this ordeal, it was just such a vital mission not to get my jacket wet. And again, I knew if that got wet, I was dead.
His jacket and thermal top must come off. If they get soaked, he'll freeze on the other side. But by taking them off, he's increasing the risk of hypothermia, which could kill him.
I was left with no other choice. It was a matter of being patient and being careful, and I just had to get across.
With his severe injuries, Ken takes tiny hops on his good leg, letting the current carry his broken limb. One false move, and he could quickly freeze to death.
All of a sudden, I became aware of my boot becoming loose, and before I could react, my boot come off my foot.
His boot is swept away by the river, and the foot on his good leg is now exposed. He makes it to the bank, but with a 3-mile crawl through the snow ahead, frostbite is guaranteed.
And my first thought was, I'm going to lose my foot. I'm going to get frostbite. I just thought, oh God, what am I going to do now? And eventually I turned a corner and I saw a light spill through the trees. And it brought a smile to my face. I just thought, I've done it, and just realised what an honest, faithful servant your body is, and I just felt really proud of myself then. I knew I'd got a strong heart and character and I could get through things. Fought for my life, and there was no sadness or bitterness towards the mountain or anything that happened. I'd made it back, and it was just so comforting to be with someone and realise that it all come to an end. I was safe.
Pioneering surgery repaired his hip and leg, but Ken lost 4 toes to frostbite. 2.5 years after the accident, he was finally able to walk again.
So few people get the opportunity to learn about themselves so intimately, and I feel privileged to have had to face such struggles to get where I am now, and I'd say that's a good thing.
Ken is now fighting fit and is hoping to one day compete in the challenging Tour de France.
Ain't that a sight?
Best friends and mountaineering partners, Jim Davidson and Mike Price, are fulfilling a dream. To climb Mount Rainier, one of the highest mountains in the US.
It's gonna be a crazy, mad day. You ready?
Let's do it, Jim.
Let's do it, bro.
The two men have been climbing together for 4 years.
I first met Mike in 1986. We were both going to Colorado State University. We had a like mind and a similar love for the mountains.
As Jim and Mike have scaled mountains all over the US, their friendship has grown deeper.
Mike had a great deal of mountaineering experience. I looked up to him as a better climber than I, more experienced.
But Mount Rainier will put their climbing partnership to the ultimate test. As they plan to scale the fearsome Liberty Ridge.
I think what excited both of us was it was going to be a step up in our friendship and our partnership.
On the third morning of their trek, they're ready for the final leg of their trip, up to the 14,000-foot summit.
Climbing fosters very intense relationships. We experience the difficulties, we experience the rewards, and you're sharing it with one person who you like and whom you trust a great deal.
For Jim, this is his toughest climbing challenge yet. But being attached to his far more experienced friend Mike means he's in safe hands.
You okay, Jim? Oh, man. This is tough. Just check your balance a little.
I would look at the climb and go, wow, I don't know if I can do this. It looks a little steep, a little scary.
I can't do it, bro. Just come over a little.
And Mike would gently push me forward.
You're doing good.
I thought, well, if Mike thinks I can do it, then I probably can.
Mike's expert leadership means that their final push to the summit goes without a hitch.
Woo! Just as I pulled myself onto the ice cap, Mike was sitting down with a big grin on it.
Welcome to Liberty Cap. I don't want you thinking about a nice, cool beer. Hey, lay off.
But Jim and Mike are also aware that they must stay alert. They know that hidden just under the snow, the landscape is a minefield of cracks and gullies, the worst of which are huge crevasses.
All of the glaciers on Rainier have crevasses, these big cracks in the ice. Sometimes they're open and you can see them, and sometimes they're hidden over with snow.
And as the hours pass, the risk of crevasses increases.
The sun softens the snow, weakens the ice. That can make the route itself more likely to collapse.
But Jim knows that being attached to his friend by a rope means that if he does fall, Mike will dig in and use his body weight to save him.
They're literally holding your life in their hands.
All right. It's a little deeper here, okay?
And that creates a very intense bond and a very intense friendship.
It's been a close call, and Jim now realizes that real danger is lurking all around them.
I probed the ground in front of me, and it felt solid.
Take it easy now, Jim. Yeah, we're good.
And I stepped forward and sank up to my ankle in the snow.
Whoa!
And I probed a second step. And my ice axe felt solid, so I stepped forward.
No, we're good.
My face smashed up against the snow. And I realized I wasn't going to be able to stop myself. I yelled, "Falling!" I swung my arms and legs around in the darkness. And I realized this is a big crevasse.
If Mike can't get a grip in the slushy snow, then nothing can stop them both plunging to their deaths.
It seemed to progress very slowly. I had time to think about what was happening and what might happen and how we were going to land. It was just absolute sheer terror. I was tied to Mike, so I thought in another second or so the rope will get tight and catch me.
As Jim speeds downwards, he knows Mike only has a few feet left to dig in and break his fall.
I thought 10 feet, 20 feet, 40 feet. Mike should have caught me by now. And I put my hand out, and I could hear how fast I was moving by the high, screaming pitch of the nylon glove dragging on the wall in the darkness. And when I swished around, it felt kind of empty, and I realized that my wrist loop had slipped off my hand. My ice axe gone now. There's no way I can stop myself. Then my brain told me that I'd fallen 50 feet. I thought, no, that can't be right. If I'm in 50 feet, and there's 50 feet of rope between me and Mike, that means he's right at the lip of the crevasse. And I'm going so fast now, he's gonna have a heck of a time catching me. And I thought, come on, Mike, dig in, dig in. Because I knew that he was getting close to the edge. I felt the rope jerk once and then go slack. And at first I was confused. I didn't know what that meant. I was stunned for a second or two.
Jim is completely trapped and is unable to move.
I could feel the weight pushing down on my body. I can't believe it. I survived that fall, and now I'm buried alive.
He has only a tiny pocket of air around him and will suffocate in minutes.
You really can't control the fear. It just surges up. I couldn't see that I was going to be able to get out of the snow. I was probably felt truly helpless at that point. Now I just have to sit here and wait for the end of my life when my oxygen runs out.
In desperation, he summons every last atom of strength to try and find a way out.
I try to focus all my mental power and physical power on just my right hand. I pushed with all my strength just on one spot, just pushing my right arm up.
Jim has survived, but there's no sign of Mike.
Mike! Say something, buddy!
And I heard his breathing get more labored and more labored.
Mike, answer me, buddy!
I started digging at the snow faster.
Say something, buddy!
I heard Mike exhale once, and then he didn't inhale. And I thought, no. It can't be that he's not breathing. I must have just missed the sound of him inhaling and exhaling.
Mikey, stay with me, buddy. Mikey! Mikey!
I couldn't quite believe what was in front of me, but I had to accept the reality. I had to accept that he wasn't breathing, and I had to do something about it.
Stay with me, buddy! Mike!
I didn't get any response. I could just feel this surge of fear boiling up inside me. I did one more check of the pulse in his wrist and his neck and looked for breathing signs, and I saw none.
No. Come on, buddy, wake up. We're getting out of here. Come on, Mike! God damn you!
My hands started to shake and my upper body started to shake and the emotions started creeping up on me.
After 4 years and hundreds of hours climbing together, Jim has just lost his closest friend.
I just slumped my head against his chest and I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes that my friend was gone.
Jim is alone, trapped 80 feet down a colossal crevasse. And without his climbing partner, his chances of escape have gone.
Somebody help
Now, I didn't know what that meant. I was afraid that I had some severe internal injury.
But one of his ice axes has been lost in the fall. If he doesn't find it, he'll never make it out. As he searches around, Jim makes a terrifying discovery. He and Mike have landed on a fragile snow bridge, likely to collapse at any minute.
We weren't on the bottom of the crevasse. We were stuck partway down the crevasse.
But 10 feet below him, Jim spots something. The missing ice axe. He knows he's faced with an horrendous choice.
I'm not going deeper in this crevasse, where it's tighter, more dangerous, scary. If I go down there, I might not be able to come back up. I thought, there's no way I'm going down there. But when I thought about it, there was no other answer. I realized if I wanted any hope of climbing up, I had to go down there first. It took a lot of willpower to back over that edge and lower myself deeper into that crevasse.
A single mistake, the ice axe will be lost, and there'll be no way back for Jim.
Felt like I'd turned the tide a little bit, that now I was taking some action. I'm starting to fight back, perhaps.
But after climbing just 20 feet, Jim's adrenaline levels are falling. Each step harder than the last.
I hadn't eaten anything or drank anything in many, many hours now, And Mike and I were both exhausted from the 3.5 days of alpine climbing before the crevasse accident happened.
Weak and exhausted, Jim senses hope draining away.
I heard this little voice that, keep going. I could see him in my mind's eye just saying, you can do this.
Check your balance a little.
I felt that he was still sort of remotely coaching me, if you will.
You're doing good.
And it wasn't goodbye yet. We were still in this together.
Doing real good there, man.
Jim has to constantly climb back down to retrieve his ice screws, costing him precious time and energy. After 65 feet and hours of hell, Jim's made it to the overhang. It's the only thing standing between him and the lip of the crevasse.
I knew I was close.
But to get past it and get out alive, he must risk everything.
Now I had a severe problem. I couldn't reach past the lip.
I can't do it, bro. Just come over a little.
And I thought, I have to do it. I've got no choice.
Jim's only option is to try to haul himself over the edge of the overhang. If he makes one single mistake, he'll fall to his death.
I've made it. I've secured myself to the upper screw. And I took my ice axe off the lower screw so that I could hang onto it. I realized I had just made a huge error.
Jim has broken a climber's golden rule. He's attached himself to his chest instead of his waist.
The chest harness cinched down around my chest and squeezed the breath out of me. And some voice in my head was just screaming at me saying, it's all over. You're gonna die hanging from this ice screw. I was gasping for breaths. I would get one occasionally when I would get one ice tool in the wall. I could get a little weight off and I would get 2 breaths and then I would slip and slump back onto the sling and it would squeeze me tight again. I had to get off that ice screw.
Unless he can find one last surge of energy, Jim knows he has just seconds left to live.
And when I looked back down at our ledge, some 60 feet below me now, I realized that I was really out there on the extreme edge of what I thought climbing could even be.
Finally, having achieved what seemed impossible just a matter of hours ago, Jim knows he has only 20 feet to the top and escape.
But I was so utterly exhausted from everything I'd done, I questioned if I was going to be able to have the strength to make that final run to the surface.
After more than 5 hours and 80 grueling feet, Jim reaches the surface. But unless he can get a firm grip on the treacherously thin snow, he could easily slide back into the crevasse.
I can't believe at the very last second I'm going to fall backwards, all the way back down to where I came from. I can't believe it's going to end like this. And this emotional voice in my mind was like screaming, do something. And this voice was pretty confident, said, just lunge. I looked back where I had last seen Mike just before the fall, and I could see where he was standing, and there was a very sharp groove in the snow that proved to me that Mike had dug in as hard as he could to catch my fall. And then I untied from the rope.
By finally untying the rope that connects him to Mike, Jim knows that he has fulfilled his duty to his best friend. And Mike's family will be able to take his body home.
All that emotion that had been trapped down inside me for over 5 hours just gushed out. And I just said out loud once, I'm alive.
Hello!
Jim's cries for help are finally heard by 2 park rangers and some volunteers.
That's when I knew that I had been seen.
I'm up here!
And that help was on its way.
Mike Price's body was recovered the following day. And, thanks to him, Jim survived with only minor injuries. But before returning home to his wife, he had one last thing he had to do.
The last day when Mike and I were climbing together, we talked about coming off the mountain, maybe having a big steak and buying a couple beers. So I went into the bar. And I ordered 2 beers. One for me, one for Mike.
Thanks.
And I sat there and drank them both.
Since the accident, Jim's never lost his love of the mountains. He now teaches new climbers to respect the power of nature. And each year, on June the 21st, Jim makes a special climb to celebrate the life and times he and his friend spent in the mountains.